In the heart of the Arctic Circle, where the sun barely rises in winter and, never sets in summer, roams one of the most powerful, awe-inspiring and, tragically vulnerable creatures on Earth, the polar bear. Majestic, solitary and perfectly adapted to the frozen world it dominates, yet standing on the brink of an uncertain future. This is the story of the polar bear, its life, survival, and the mounting threats it faces in the modern age. The polar bear, Ursus maritimus, meaning maritime bear, is in fact the largest land carnivore on Earth. These magnificent creatures are perfectly adapted to survive in one of the harshest environments on the planet, where temperatures can plunge far below freezing and the sun may not rise for months at a time. Males can weigh up to 1,500 pounds, while females average around 550 pounds, though they can balloon to over 1,000 pounds when pregnant. Their sheer size and strength make them formidable hunters, capable of taking down prey much larger than themselves. Cubs, born tiny and helpless, grow rapidly under the care of their mothers, who fiercely protect them from the dangers of the Arctic. They are born, live, and die on the ice. Their entire existence is intricately tied to the sea ice, which provides them with both habitat and hunting grounds. Without the ice, polar bears would struggle to find food, as it is here that they hunt their primary prey, seals, using remarkable patience and skill. Polar bears are found across 5 main Arctic regions: Alaska, Canada, Greenland, Russia and Norway, specifically Svalbard. Each population faces unique challenges, from shifting ice patterns to varying prey availability, but all are united by their dependence on the frozen north. They are remarkably built for survival. A thick double coat of fur with hollow, translucent guard hairs that trap heat and keep them warm even in the coldest winds. This fur not only insulates but also camouflages them against the snow and ice. Beneath their fur, black skin absorbs solar warmth, maximizing every ray of sunlight during the brief Arctic summer. This adaptation is crucial for maintaining their body temperature in such a frigid world. A dense fat layer, sometimes up to 4.5 inches thick, provides insulation and energy reserves, allowing them to endure long periods without food when hunting is scarce. Wide, paddle-like paws act as natural snowshoes, distributing their weight so they can walk across thin ice, and as powerful paddles for swimming vast distances between ice flows. Every aspect of the polar bear's body is a testament to life in the Ice Kingdom. Polar bears are apex predators, and their favorite meal is seal, particularly the energy-rich ringed and bearded seals. They rely on a hunting method called still hunting, where they wait motionless by a seal's breathing hole, often for hours. One successful hunt can fuel them for days. During spring and early summer, they gorge themselves to build fat reserves for the leaner months. But as sea ice melts earlier each year, their hunting season is shrinking. In desperate times, polar bears will scavenge from whale carcasses, human garbage, or even hunt walrus calves and seabird eggs. But nothing provides the calories they need quite like blubber-rich seals. Mating among polar bears takes place in the late spring. typically between April and June, when the sea ice is still thick enough to support their weight and travel. This is a crucial time in the Arctic, as the bears must find each other across vast, frozen expanses. Male polar bears will roam for miles, tracking females by following their scent trails left in the snow. When two males find the same female, they often engage in fierce, dramatic battles for the right to mate, sometimes leaving each other with deep wounds and scars. These confrontations can last for hours, showcasing the strength and determination of these Arctic giants. After mating, the female experiences a remarkable process called delayed implantation. The fertilized egg remains dormant and does not immediately implant in her uterus, allowing her body to assess whether she has enough resources to support a pregnancy. If the female fails to build up sufficient fat reserves during the summer and autumn, her body will reabsorb the embryo and the pregnancy will not continue. This adaptation ensures that only the healthiest mothers bring cubs into the harsh Arctic world. For those who succeed, the next step is to dig a snow den in October or November, often on a remote snowdrift or along a frozen hillside. Here she enters a hibernation-like dormancy, conserving energy through the long, dark winter. Deep within the safety of her den, the mother gives birth in the heart of winter. She may have 1, 2, or sometimes 3 tiny cubs, each weighing barely a pound, smaller than a guinea pig and completely helpless. The newborn cubs are born blind, hairless, and utterly dependent on their mother for warmth and nourishment. They huddle close to her, relying on her body heat to survive the frigid temperatures outside. For nearly 3 months, the cubs nurse on their mother's incredibly rich milk, which contains up to 30% fat. This high-fat diet allows them to grow rapidly, developing the fur and strength they'll need to face the outside world. By March or April, as the sun returns and the Arctic begins to thaw, the family finally emerges from the den. The cubs take their first tentative steps onto the snow, experiencing the world beyond their snowy shelter for the very first time. The mother, now drastically thinner after months without food, must quickly return to hunting. She leads her cubs across the sea ice, teaching them essential survival skills as she searches for seals to replenish her strength and provide for her young. Life outside the den is perilous. The survival rate for cubs is low. Only about 50% make it through their first year. Starvation, predation by adult males, and the unforgiving Arctic environment all pose constant threats to these vulnerable young bears. Polar bear mothers are, well, fiercely protective. They can go months without food while raising their young, willing to defend them from predators, including, remarkably, other polar bears. Cubs stay with their mothers for up to 2.5 years, learning essential survival skills, from swimming and stalking prey to, avoiding dangers. This extended period of care is absolutely critical for their development. After separation, young bears must fend for themselves in a world where, honestly, mistakes can mean death. The Arctic is not the barren wasteland many imagine. It's alive with ecosystems supporting a surprising diversity of life. From the smallest plankton beneath the ice to the mighty polar bear, this region is a web of interdependent species, each uniquely adapted to the extreme cold and long dark winters. But it's also the most rapidly warming region on Earth, Temperatures here are rising at more than twice the global average, transforming the landscape at a pace never seen before. Sea ice is disappearing at an alarming rate, shrinking by nearly 13% per decade. This vanishing ice is not just a statistic, it's a dramatic change that affects every creature that calls the Arctic home. Some regions have seen the summer ice-free season lengthen by 3 to 4 weeks, exposing more open water and less stable ice for longer periods each year. This change cuts off access to seals, the main food source for polar bears, making hunting far more difficult and unpredictable. This loss of habitat has profound impacts. Polar bears are forced to adapt to a world that is literally melting beneath their feet. Bears are now swimming longer distances, sometimes over 60 miles in open water, just to find solid ice or a meal. Cubs often drown on these perilous journeys, unable to keep up with their mothers or survive the frigid waters for so long. As their world melts, polar bears spend more time on land, a place with fewer food options and new dangers. This shift leads to more encounters with humans, as bears wander closer to settlements in search of something to eat, and sadly, greater struggles to find food. The future of the Arctic and its iconic polar bears hangs in the balance as the world continues to warm. Polar bears are not naturally aggressive toward humans, but when hungry or provoked, they can unfortunately be lethal. Most attacks happen when bears are desperate, in towns, near garbage dumps, or approaching campsites. In parts of the Canadian Arctic, patrols and deterrents have been introduced to protect both bears and people. But conflict is growing. With food scarcity rising, some bears now actively seek out human settlements. While these interactions can be tragic, they are also a symptom of a deeper problem, a species being pushed beyond its limits. Contrary to popular belief, only pregnant females den for long periods. Other polar bears remain active year-round, though they may rest for days during bad weather. As for cleanliness, polar bears maintain their thick coats through self-grooming and snow baths. After feeding, they'll often roll in the snow to remove blood and oils that could reduce insulation or scent camouflage. Their hygiene isn't just about cleanliness, it's a survival tool. As of recent estimates, there are around 22,000 to 26,000 polar bears left in the wild, divided among 19 distinct subpopulations. Some populations are stable. Others, particularly in the southern Beaufort Sea and Hudson Bay, are declining fast. Climate models predict that by the 2100, if emissions continue at current rates, polar bears could face near total extinction in many regions due to habitat loss. Climate change is the greatest threat, but it's not the only one. Oil and gas exploration in the Arctic disturbs habitats, risks spills, and opens new roads into pristine areas. Noise pollution affects migration, and toxic chemicals, like PCB, have been found in polar bear tissue, passed down from mother to cub. These pollutants weaken immune systems, affect fertility, and accumulate over generations. Despite the grim outlook, hope remains. Conservation laws protect polar bears in many countries. Indigenous communities are working to monitor and preserve bear populations. Global initiatives like the Polar Bear Agreement aim to foster cooperation among Arctic nations. But above all, slowing climate change is key. Reducing emissions, protecting sea ice, and shifting to sustainable energy are not just environmental goals, they are lifelines for polar bears. The polar bear is more than a predator, it is a symbol of raw nature, fragile ecosystems, and the consequences of human activity. To save the polar bear is to save a part of ourselves, the wild, untamed spirit of Earth. Let us not be the generation that stood by and watched the great white bear vanish from the ice. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the Arctic. If you found this story meaningful, like, comment, share and subscribe to the channel, and be a voice for the voiceless.